Papa Boy's here. And guess what? I'm going to treat you little goblins to a vampire deck. This is as pure vampire as I think I could go without making it absolute shit. I mean, it's still not like a tier 1 deck or anything even remote, but... So, as you can see, we go into Baron de Fleur, and I actually just wanted to showcase this match particularly because of how stupid my opponent is. And I'm sorry, but like this, look at this. He forbidden droplets me, and I'm already tilted because I'm like, well, I guess he's gonna do whatever he wants, and he's playing Lyceric Tri-Brigade, and you love to see when they mess up the Tri-Brigade combo. So unless like he and then he discards kit, so he must have like one kit in the deck or something. I don't understand. And then he goes for a 4, so he's going for a Shurig. He gets infinite impermed, but that's not all. I just want you guys to see how hilarious it is. He Regekis me in the same spot, and then he Lyceric Bird Calls in the same spot. And my good, I don't even understand why he didn't just concede right there. I would have conceded immediately. But we play our Vampire Familiar. We bring back Uni Zombie, send Mizuki to the graveyard. We're going to send our Vampire Red Baron. We actually took this card out of the deck. It never really came up too much. But then we can go into Vampire Shiden. And he concedes. Boop, boop. Alrighty, here's game 2. And this one isn't going to be that hilarious. So we play Vampire's Domain with Mizuki just so we can summon our Vampire. I know it's kind of an odd play, but the hand was really clunky. He plays Shaddoll Fusion. So I'm like, well, I'm just going to counter this because Window would be really annoying to deal with. And then he Jack Obolins. So I'm like confused. I'm like, this guy's playing Zombie. He's playing Shaddoll. I already know that face down card has to be a Shaddoll card. Jack-O-Lantern actually is like it's really annoying for my deck to deal with because now he's going to be able to take my Mizuki before I can even activate anything on it. And if you're wondering why I didn't activate it, I had nothing in the graveyard to activate it too. So I was trying to Foolish Burial. So I Foolish Burial. I send a Vampire card to the graveyard. I play Fraulein. I'm going to kill this. The Vampire is going to pick it back up. And then we are going into Vampire Shidon. And he's going to let us take control of this Eldritch. I really wish the second ability didn't cost another XZ material. It's kind of annoying. I know it's a strong ability, but it's kind of tilting. So he's going to use Sanguine, and then he's going to go for a fusion. And here I'm just confused a little. So he goes into Draco, and this is how you know people don't read cards, is he attacks right into my Vampire when I have Fraulein out. And with our Domain, it lets us heal off of our Vampires. So we're going to bring out Retainer, get our Counterspell, going to use Desires to bring back our Vampire Scarlet Scourge. And that's going to bring back another card, and we're going to go for lethal. Look at all that healing. Boom. Thank you. Not a traditional Eldritch, but very annoying against my deck. Alrighty, game 3. So what we want to do here is I want to showcase the power of Omega in this deck. So we have Psy Omega in the extra deck. So we're going to activate Uni Zombie. We're going to send Retainer to the graveyard. And then we are going to activate Retainer to bring back, send the Bat to the graveyard and get our Counterspell. Then we're going to activate Familiar. And then we're going to use all 3 of them to go into Omega. And then we're going to set 2 cards. So this is why Omega is crazy in this deck. Because this deck banishes a lot of cards. And on your opponent's standby phase, You're able. This was annoying, by the way. I really get Harpy Feather Dust. I never get like an OP opening because my opponent always has it out. But the great thing is I'm able to recycle Mizuki. So Omega's crazy with Mizuki, and it's also really good with the vampire cards because they banish themselves. So he's playing Cosmos. He's trying to get a hit in. Because if he gets a hit in, he gets a free search. And then he Dark Holes me. Honestly, when he did this, I was like, this guy's Rambo as hell. But he went for Tin Can. Because he's going to be able to get a search. He's going to be able to get that card back to his hand. And he's going to be able to get a search. And I end up adding his... the Cosmo, the Negate Cosmo back. So we get Omega back on the field. We go again for Solitaire. We know he doesn't have anything to stop it. Uni Zombie is going to set up. Vampire Familia is going to send our Negate. Because honestly, we just have to at this point. And then we send that to the graveyard. Go with the Retainer. Retainer is going to get Desire. Now Desire is going to make our card into a level 8. And we're just using it for Anaconda. We wanted to throw Vampire Vovocade in the graveyard. There's a reason why, and you're going to see soon. You go into DPE. Tin Can's going to activate its effect. Summon Slip Rider. Honestly, I want to say that was a mistake, but he did clearly want to go search for a card. So I ended up popping his Slip Rider, which is fine. Slip Rider, I was like, I can't attack with anything besides Uni Zombie. So when he summoned Tin Can, I was like, sweet. Because then I was able to actually get rid of it before he got a search off. So DPE comes back. We're going to overload and bring back our Vampire Retainer. And then we're going to activate our effect to thin out our opponent's hand. And it forces his Good Witch to act. And we're just going to pop his face down. Because I was afraid that he was going to go into Dark Lady and she would be able to negate me. He ends up going into Dark Destroyer. He pops my card. 100% fine. Kills Uni Zombie. We're in a very good position to win. Because we have so many cards in the graveyard. So DPE is coming back. Then we activate Mizuki to bring back our beautiful Vampire Scarlet Surge. Honestly, a Vampire deck that uses Grass is Greener might work pretty good too. Because the deck works so much better when you have a bunch of stuff in the graveyard. Now, if you don't know, the Void, well, the way it works is if your opponent has cards in the graveyard, you can negate activations of that they have in the graveyard. So it's pretty crazy. See, when a monster effect is activated while a monster with the same name is in the graveyard, you can negate the effect. So if they're in the graveyard, you can negate, and then if they're on the field and they have a copy in the graveyard, you can negate. It's pretty crazy. All right, this is the final game. So we go into Solitaire, into Uni Zombie. I'm going to tell you right now, if you get ashed on the Solitaire, you just pretty much do nothing for the whole turn. Does not feel good, I can tell you that. You're going to Desire. We send a 6. Mizuki's going to special summon our 6 from the graveyard. Our 6 is going to bring back the Vampire. We have a Void. We're going to go into Anaconda. Look how much life we lose doing this. Then Sheridan. Honestly, the Sheridan play was like mediocre. Honestly, I feel like this was the only way for us to get DPE out with a negate up. I mean, we could have went Baron to Fleur, but I kind of just wanted to do this instead. So it goes into Electromite. I think if I was going to do this over again, I think I would have either took out Star Pelagram right in the beginning. Because he ends up getting a lot of value out of this card. I'm not familiar with the Performa deck. or whatever this type of pendulum deck is. So honestly, when he special summoned this level 8 back to the field, I thought DPEing it would be the right call, but actually was not that good of a call. Because look what he ends up doing. He just recycles, and this isn't a hard once per turn, so he's able to do it literally over again. So kind of annoying. He ends up going to Borreload Savage, and it does not look good for me. But I actually feel pretty hopeful here because I knew that he would counter the Froling because he wants this card dead. He wants this vampire dead. But now he won't be able to use his negate on DPE's special summon. So all in all, pretty good to me. The question I have that I think is actually nuts is my Dasher effect activates a summon retainer, and he called by the grave my Dasher, which was honestly annoying, but like you think you would have done it to the DPE. So now all I have to do, my entire game plan is, all I have to do is make him use his negate, and I just win the game right here. And the game's already won. He doesn't really know it. I don't think it could win this turn exactly. But we're going to activate Domain. We activate DPE. He's going to negate the DPE. Which is awesome. Because we have a level 1 on the field with Vampire Familiar. So we go into Relinquished Anima. That's going to take control of his card. Then we're going to smack him for pretty much everything besides 100 life points. Unfortunately, I didn't have enough to finish it. Because Frowling gets summoned in defense position, if you're wondering. So even if I summoned it, it would get summoned in defense position. Alright, so our opponent's going to... He has pretty much everything. Honestly, the fact he's able to like kind of come back here is a little terrifying. He definitely maneuvered this pretty well, I would say. And then I activate DP's effect. Then Frolin comes out. He attacks Frolin. I pay 3,000 and he kills himself. Oh yeah. Yes, I can hear you. What is it?
First of all, are you an idiot? Why aren't you watching Fatsoid right now? Come on, do you want to get better at Yu-Gi-Oh? I don't date losers. Just remember that, mister.
Hey guys, let's look at the deck real quick. I did a good amount of edits like while I was playing the deck, so I just want to make sure you guys have the most updated version and you're not just looking at the games. So right here, we are running the 3 Vampire Familia, 3 Vampire Retainer. It's must need, and they're all rares, which is nice. 3 Uni Zombie must have. It's literally the core piece of the deck. And then you also need the Solitaires, which you do get for free from doing the solo mode. The thing with Uni Zombie, what you want to do essentially is get Retainer in the graveyard and then special summon Retainer to get most likely Vampire Desire. Then you could use Desire's effect to pitch a Scourge to the graveyard to make this a level 6, and then you can go into Baron de Fleur. That'll give you 1 negate, or you can go into Psy-Frame Omega is another choice by using Unizombie's effect twice and special summoning Familiar and Retainer. This will give you good longevity, like for grind matches. Another thing that I like to do personally is when you get Scourge in the graveyard, we do have a lot of ways of bringing it back out. So we have 3 Mizukis, and we also have Monster Reborn and Book of Life. And you can actually Book of Life on turn 1. It's not the hardest thing in the world because remember, opponents always play hand traps. So if you remember, people always play hand traps, then you should be fine because you're going to have people playing Maxi. You're going to have people playing Ash. Let's be honest. You have 2 Called by the Graves. It's not going to stop it all the time. I'm going to say the best thing about this deck, let's talk about that real quick, is Vampire Frolin. This card, nobody remembers what it does. And the great thing about it, too, is when your opponent thinks they're going to win the game because you have an open field and they have no way of like stopping Frolin coming out, it saves you from losing so many times. I literally can't even count how many times this card has saved me from dying, because they would have like 3 monsters, 8,000 damage total, and then you summon Frolin, and every attack they do, you take a fraction damage because you can keep activating the effect over and over. Because it's not a once per turn effect. And what her effect does is you pay life points, and any zombie monster that's getting battled with gains 100 per 100 life points you use. So if something's attacking that's 3,000, all you have to do is pay 1,000, and her defense goes up to 3,000, and she's safe. So it's also crazy. It's really good for your monsters to go over, and it pairs really, really well with Vampire's Domain, because the more damage you do, when you inflict damage, you gain life points for the same amount. The idea here, the best board that you can make would be like a Baron de Fleur, DPE, with a, I guess, Vovid, but Vovid's pretty hard to get out. It's a one of in the deck for a reason. It's like a later deck card. Pretty much a vampire, any vampire, and vampire domination on the field. It gives you 2 negates, 2 omni negates, and it also gives you board destruction to interact with them. It's not the most crazy board, but it's a pretty good board for the deck we're playing. This is vampires. We're not playing a tier 1 deck, and that's the last thing I really want to get into is where do I rank this? Now, like I said in the last video, I'm going to try and rank all these decks on a scale. So last video I did Magistus, and I rated that deck a 6, I believe. If that deck's a 6, I would say this deck's probably a 6 as well. It's pretty much on par. It's weak to some things. I actually think this deck it survives a bit better because Baron de Fleur is such a strong play. Having a counter trap's a very strong play, especially when it's searchable with Retainer. And again, DPE is a very strong play. You have like 3 very strong plays. We want to talk about the extra deck. I think the extra deck's pretty darn good. You could go an Auroradon strategy with the deck, but I wanted to keep it as vampire focused as possible. I already had DPE in the deck, which I felt bad for, but DPE in this deck feels so good because when Dasher's in the graveyard, when you draw cards like Familiar or Retainer, you can special summon them with Dasher's effect, and it doesn't sound like that big of a deal, but one of the most annoying things about these cards is they have to be special summoned so you can activate this effect. So when you take care of that requirement with Dasher's ability, it just saves you so much like going around hoops. I have Yugioh, the Absolute Zero. This card I didn't really use that much. So, I mean, I also had these two together. Honestly, if you want to save yourself some ultra rares, if you have like a Nightmare Unicorn, you could use that. And Borreload Savage Dragon, I'd replace with Yugioh. You can do those replacements. I think that's fine. Most of the time in your extra deck, you're going into Baron de Fleur, Destroyer, Predaplant Verte, Relinquish Anima, and your 2 Exe monsters. I hope you guys have a good one, and I'll see you guys in the next one.